Hey siblings, and welcome back to my channel. We are in a new year, y'all. It is January the 10th, 11th. It is January 11th and it's 2019. So happy new year to all of you guys that are out there. Happy new year to my new subscribers, my old subscribers, those that are just coming by my channel. You don't even know how you got here. It doesn't matter. Happy new year to you. I think I'm gonna start calling you my siblings rather than my loves. It could be a little weird. So I think siblings because I am all about reuniting this generation back unto God as his children. And if we're his children, then we're siblings. You're my sister, you're my brother, I'm your sister, I'm your sister. And that's how we're gonna rock out in 2019 as a huge family. I like to call us a dope fam, right? So if you are not following me on Instagram, make sure that you go and do that right now, because if you're not following me, what else are you doing? So guys, I hope that you had a wonderful holiday season. Hope that you had a great start to your new year. And all those great things. But what I wanted to share with you is one of the greatest relationship tips that I've gotten in my whole 27 years of life. It's up there with like the top two. Like it's like one of the two that I got. And I wanted to share that with you because what I want to do in 2019 is really help my generation also in their relationships. So one day out of the week, which I was thinking Friday, maybe we can do like relationship advice Friday or like relationship Fridays, and I can just offer my wisdom. I can offer my own personal story or whatever the case may be. We'll figure it out. But this is the video that I want to come into 2019 with, because I know that we all crossed over into 2019 with a boo, with a bae. Well, most of you did. Not me. Not yet. But that's fine. I'm waiting on God. But you may have crossed into 2019 with your boo or your bae. But I'm going to tell you a story. A really quick story about my life. About my last relationship. And the way God spoke to me through a story in the Bible. Okay? So, in 2015, as you know, if you've been following me for a while, that I moved to Chicago with my... I don't like to call him boyfriend. I'm just going to be honest with y'all, because it wasn't even a relation. I was in a relationship, but he was not. And it's okay, you know? But I don't like to call him boyfriend. Let's just say I moved up there with a potential suitor, okay? And moved to Chicago. It was not what I had expected. I was playing house, I was playing wife, and wasn't getting no kind of reciprocation. But as soon as I got back home, matter of fact, before I left to go to Chicago, there was this guy. Y'all, listen, if you love me, don't judge me. You feel me? Like, if you love me, do not judge me, okay? So, what happened was, before I left to go to Chicago, I had went to the altar. And I went up there to get some prayer or whatever. And the guy, there was a man that I had never seen before in the church. Or did I see him before? I don't know. I did see him. I thought he was attractive. And then we went to the altar together. He was up there and I was like, let me go get me some prayer. And when I hold his hand, my God in Zion, my whole thought process of why I went to the altar went out the window. Like, I was like, yo, holding his hand like this can be my king. You know how we are as women. We always project what this guy could be in our life. And he don't even probably know your name, right? So I'm holding his hand. I forgot what I'm at the altar for. My mind is all off of God, all off of worship. Like, I'm just gone at this point. My mind is so far into the future of our life and how many babies we got. Like, what I tell you, didn't I tell you if you love me, don't judge me? Shoot, don't judge me. Okay, so I would say judge your mama, but y'all still getting to know me. But that's what I say to my friends. I'm like, don't judge me, judge your mama. Just a little speck of who I am. But anyways, I'm so off. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so back to the story. And so we were holding hands at the altar, and I'm going back to my seat. Still moved to Chicago with the young man, whatever the case may be, my potential suitor. And when I came back, me and this guy got in immediate contact. I think like I got back here on like a weekday. By that Saturday, we were out. Like, we went to Sonic's to get some ice cream, because I was like, I think I want some ice cream, and he invited me out to go get some ice cream. So we were talking or whatever, we were vibing. He was completely different from my ex. potential suitor. And he was getting his relationship right with God. Like, he was loving God, he was serving God, he was coming to church faithfully. That's not something that we really see that often in Charleston, like men who are attractive and serving God. So this was my cup. Like, God, I felt like God had poured his cup for me just to drink. Like, this was my cup, this was my portion, this was all me. So we getting along, you know, we vibing or whatever. But we were like super attracted to one another. So I was rededicating my life to God after I came back from Chicago. And he was just now getting his faith right before I left. So he was a new believer and I was like more of a seasoned believer. But we were all both on the same path to God. But somewhere in there, lust just completely took over us. And we had the desire, and we will always say, if we keep playing with fire, we're gonna get burned. So we would try to put safeguards up, but we didn't have no counsel, we didn't have no guidance. We was really trying to make this thing work and try to suppress our emotions when we should have tried to find someone to help us or not date. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to be in a position, the Bible says flee fornication or flee temptation. If we were going to be in a place of temptation, we should have fled it. But we kind of kept, we suppressed it so much so that it just became super strong, and we kept feeding it into each other. We kept going to each other's house late. We kept hanging out after dark. I kept letting him hug on me and touch all over my body. And we didn't have no safeguards, basically no boundaries, trying to figure it out as we go. And my mom always says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And we didn't have no plan for the success of this relationship. So, of course it failed, but that's not where we are in the story yet. So, we ended up falling into lust and having sex multiple times, and it just came to a place where I was like, hey, can't do this anymore, don't want to do this anymore. I want to please God. I came back to God to please him, not to get back into the same relationship. But before I had that conversation with him, I went to a singles conference. And you know, when you don't want to hear God, God keeps speaking, and he will begin to speak so much to the point to where either you gonna listen or you just gonna completely ignore it. And he will get you in a place where he gonna get your attention. And I went to the singles conference thinking I'm good, like this is my boo. At this point, I had no revelation of it's not gonna work. I knew it was gonna work. So I'm sitting at the conference by myself, me and some family members. And the lady said, the woman of God said, it's never the first. And I'm like, what's she going at with this? Because like I said, he was a brand spanking new believer, and I was coming back into the faith. So she said it's never the first. So I listened to her. So she was saying she brought up the Ishmael and Isaac story, and how Ishmael was not the promised child. Ishmael was a counterfeit child that Sarah and Abraham tried to help God bring to fruition or bring to manifestation. But Ishmael was not the promise. He was a result, but he was not the promise. Isaac was the promise. So Ishmael was first. It's never the first, right? Because they didn't wait. And apply it where you may, but this really spoke to me. So basically, in all those words, but just a few, he wasn't the first one that I met. As soon as I came back to the faith, wasn't it? Why? Because God hadn't even done a work in me. So basically, I was attracting. So this does fit to you if you're watching this. So basically, God hadn't done a work in me. God hadn't been able to really transform me into who he wanted me to be. Therefore, whatever I was attracting at this moment, whatever I was attracting at this season, was attracting what was in me. And clearly I said that we fell into sin. By this time we already had sex. So we already had fell into sin. So I was attracting my lust nature. Even when I was with him, when I would leave him, I would feel so sad. Like I just wanted to be in his presence. Like I wanted him more than I wanted God. But out of my mouth I kept saying that I wanted God more than I wanted him. But my actions didn't reflect that. You know what I'm saying? So it's never the first. I want to encourage you, sister. I want to encourage you, brother. It's never the first. If you know you still got some issues going on the inside of you, and you are attracting this person, and you're starting to see, like you got that face, he may not be the one, or she may not be the one, or she may not be it right now. But with that Ishmael and Isaac story, I was like, gosh, it's never the first. They helped God. Anything that you got to help God with, and I'm not saying partnering with God, but you decide, okay, God gave me a promise. And then you go out because God hadn't fulfilled the promise in the time period that you thought he would fulfill it. So you go and you try to aid God in this. I'm not saying helping God as far as like you praying, you thanking him for it, you praying for your husband, you praying for your wife, you praying them out of the spirit into the natural. That's not what I'm talking about helping. I'm talking about God promised you, well, he doesn't promise us that any of us will ever get married, but he does give you prophetic words. And if he spoke a prophetic word over you, or you believe in your heart that God desires for you to be married, do not help God. I'm telling you, God does not need your help. So say for instance, someone, well, and you believe in your heart that God's going to give you a husband, or God's going to give you a wife. It is not your job. Whoo! Okay, listen, I have nothing against online dating. I have something against people that online date and they're desperate. Okay, so I just feel like I try to do online dating, but I was in a serious place of desperation. And I believe that that was me trying to help God. I was trying to speed up the process of God. I was trying to do things. If you've seen my other video about seeking attention, I was trying to do things in order to be seen so that I can get my husband. That's me helping God. And if I did receive a potential suitor in that moment of me trying to help God, he's a counterfeit. I thank God that he spoke to me through that singles conference, because I now realized today, and even after I told the guy, we can't do this no more, that he was a counterfeit. I realized that every man that's ever come to me now has been a counterfeit. And the last guy that I was kind of talking to, whatever, he was the biggest counterfeit of all. You must, in this season, you must know that it's never the first, and you must know that you have to have discernment to be able to discern between good and almost good. My last potential suitor was almost good. I mean, he was god doggone good. So, and it didn't work. Why? Because he wasn't mine, one, and then two, because whenever there's a counterfeit, it's things that you can't really see from the naked eye. Whenever they're trying to figure out if a bill is counterfeit, they hold it up to the light. My God in Zion, I need you to hold that relation up to the light of God. I need you to hold that relationship up to the word, to make sure that he's not a counterfeit, to make sure that she's not a counterfeit. I need you to hold it up. Like, let's hold it up together. God, is this you? God, is the way that he's speaking, is this you? Is the way that he's loving? God, is this you? And God, is this you? I'm looking in the light. God, according to your word, does he fit? And I'm not saying he has to be perfect, but his character and his desire and his passion, the hunger for God, y'all must have the same cry. Y'all must have the same desires. Like, your desires should both be for God. Your desires should be Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. You must have the same desires. God gives you the desires of your heart, not that you're going to get a Mercedes-Benz this week, or that you're going to get a Cadillac next week. But God begins to implant in you the desires that he wants for you. And you have to follow that. Closing out with this. Stephen Furtick did a video, and it was called The Truth of Potential. And he says, basically, in this society, we date based on potential. But he says, let's not date based on potential. Let's determine who we're going to spend the rest of our life with based on patterns. He may have all this potential. And this was so me, y'all. Listen, I was such a person who believed in potential, but God was like, yeah, he got potential, but he don't got capacity. He ain't gonna meet that potential, because everybody don't meet potential. Okay, God, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? But he said, although he may have potential, but he has a porn addiction. Yeah, he has potential, but he treats his mother horribly. Yeah, he has potential. Yeah, he has potential. Yeah, he has potential, but what are his patterns? You shouldn't even want to date somebody that doesn't call you at a certain time. Okay, now let me give you, because you know you gotta give people examples. This guy told me that he was gonna call, well, matter of fact, not even call me at a certain time. Being consistent. If you say that you are pursuing me and you want me, the pattern of God was God. The Bible says that he fearlessly, he ferociously pursues us. Therefore, if this guy don't have the same character of God to pursue you as a woman, it ain't it. If he's not consistent, if his pattern is he'll call you and then he'll say, I'll call you later on today, and don't call you for 3 days at a time, and this is just one time, okay, I can forgive you. But if this is a constant thing about him, that's a pattern. Anything that he has a problem breaking, it's a pattern. So that's 3 things. I didn't even know I was going to come in here for 3 things. First thing is never the first one. If you're just now trying to get your relationship right with God, allow God to do the work in you so that you can start attracting the one that God has for you. Second, have discernment. In this season, make sure you can discern between good and almost good. Good, right? And then thirdly, date based on patterns. If he has sucky patterns, forget his potential, because you will continue to be in this situation with him and it doesn't profit you anything. So I was going to say like a really cliche saying, do not judge me. If you judge me, if you love me, you won't judge me, okay? And it was drop that 0 and get a hero. And the one that God has for you, not necessarily that he's a hero, but drop that 0, because the longer you stay with him, the longer you stay with him, right? You wasting all of this time and it profits you nothing. That's why he's a 0, because you ain't gonna get nothing out of him but a lesson. All right, so I love you guys. I pray that video helped you, because it helped me. Like, I was excited talking to y'all. Man, I have missed y'all. As you can see, I miss y'all because it's been a couple weeks, but I love you and I'm sorry, and we're going to do this more often, and I want to be consistent because I do not want to give off the wrong pattern, right? So make sure that you follow me on all of my social media. Right here is my Instagram as well as my Facebook at teairegriffin. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns or suggestions, make sure that you drop that in the comment section below, and send me anything else that you guys want to talk about, or send me some questions, y'all. I love answering questions, okay? Like, that's just my thing. Like, I like questions. So ask me any questions, and yeah, let's make 2019 count. Rock out. Love you guys. Bye.